Hi, this is Tom Osberg, aka Ginger Khan, and you're listening to Void Signal with Brian McClelland.
How's it going?
It's good, man. I mean, things are turning around and looking up over here at least, so that's a good thing. It's been a rough couple of months, but so far so good. Started selling T-shirts today. I'm pretty stoked about that.
Nice.
But yeah, things are going good. I was just actually just checking out that music video you sent me. oddly, there's something about it that kind of reminds me of like Butthole Surfers a little bit.
Yeah, you know what? To be honest, like, yeah, they definitely have a bit of that vibe going on. Yeah, it's a guy that I used to work with. His name's Dennis, and then another guy named Jordan who produced the video, and he works kind of in the horror music genre. I mean, horror movie genre. So he's anyway, guys that I used to work with at a venue. I didn't get to watch your video because I was rushing from thing to thing, and here I am now, and I was like, well, if we could meet up now, that would actually be really good. But anyway, long story short, that was what I thought of because I just saw his band play the other day, and I was like, oh, I'll give a shout out to like my friends who are doing something cool and like maybe aren't as known. I mean, they did get signed to like Housecore Records, which I guess that kind of probably gives them a bit of street cred. But yeah, it's just cool to help out, and I guess get people known or
Yeah, I mean that's
for friends.
Absolutely. I mean that's kind of my goal with this thing. Is just like I've interviewed some people that like their monthly listeners or whatever is like 3 and 4 digits long. And I've also had like Chris from Stabbing Westward on the show. Like I just think I don't know, I think it's important to like kind of give people a shot regardless of what level of success they're at, I guess, is kind of my thought process on it. But yeah, it's really good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The video is a blast. The song's a blast, and it just took me on a nostalgia trip completely of just like, man, I remember like seeing Butthole Surfers and thinking it was like the craziest band I've ever seen. Like, those were good times. But yeah, it's good stuff. I sent you Dance with the Dead. I'm not sure if you've heard them before or not.
No. When I first saw it, I was like, "Wait, is this Corrosion of Conformity?" Like it like because I think that they had a video that I grew up. I mean, around the same era as like Butthole Surfers. I mean, late '80s, early '90s. But that that real dirgy kind of hard rock style or whatever. But that's what I thought you were sending me. But then like the I don't know what they call it, the thumbnail or whatever just didn't look like it. So yeah, but I'll have to check that out a little bit later today. But yeah, I didn't have a moment when
yeah, it's all good.
When it was sent to me.
They're kind of a unique blend of like synthwave kind of stuff, like really aggressive synthwave, sort of like Perturbator or Carpenter Brute.
Okay.
Mixed with like just really like 80s metal guitars that like they just come out and shred. And I've seen them a couple of times now, and pretty great band, pretty great live show. But anyway, we'll talk about you. What's going on with you? I know you the last it's been a while since we talked, but you went on a little miniature European tour with Dana Dentata, which was pretty exciting. I was checking out some of your videos that you were sending back from that. Man, I gotta say, like after you told me that you were going out on tour with her, I saw that you were going to. I went and checked out her music, and really, I don't know, it just grabbed me. It was very like visceral and very different, and then to contrast like the sort of studio version with like the footage of you doing the drums live, it just worked so well. I was so impressed with like just the addition of a live drummer just turned some of these songs from good songs to like, holy shit, this song is like out of control good. But what have you been going on with doing since that?
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, that was really fun. I'm not sure what will happen in the future. I know that she was trying a few things, and that was the first time she brought in like a drummer. So I don't really know what she has in mind for the future, or if she has anything lined up. but yeah, I mean, we still chat and everything like that. So, here and there. Yeah, I don't have anything lined up with her at the moment, and I'm not quite sure. I haven't actually talked to her maybe in a couple months. So, I know she did a couple of festivals on her own, without any, because she's brought various performers on stage with her, like guitar players or background dancers. But I would imagine a lot of it has to do with maybe set times, budget. It could be a number of reasons, as to, I guess, what size of a show she puts on or what kind of production. So, yeah, if she ever needs me again, I would love to do it. It was a lot of fun. But in the meantime, I have been getting ready again for Frontline Assembly. I feel, for the last 3 years, I've been getting ready to tour with Frontline Assembly, and so as a tour nears, I start to know, I guess, what set list we're going to do, and then I kind of narrow my focus on those songs. But we could change the set length and everything like that. I mean, the song, the lengths of each individual song. Like the last time we were supposed to go out, it was with Ministry and Helmet, and that was supposed to be this last October. And I think in order to get like a decent spread of Frontline's material, we did sort of abbreviated versions of some of the songs. And so I don't know what we'll do this time around, because we're going out as a headliner. And so anyway, so we'll have a longer set, but I've got to wait to hear from Reese. He's usually the one that will kind of hit me up and let me know what's going on. But I've been practicing anyway for that, because once that tour starts happening, I've got stuff with other bands, Psyclon 9, possibly System Sin, if I can work out a festival gig while doing all of that. And then Psyclon 9's got some touring, plus they've got festival gigs. I don't know that I'll be able to play Wave Gothic Treffen with Psyclon 9, just because Frontline will be ending the tour. So I think that they have a drummer from Europe that will be helping out for that. But then when we do Castle Party in July, I'll jump in and drum with that. And then I think we're trying to get a few extra dates while we're out there.
Right.
So essentially, that's in a nutshell, that's what's going on. A somewhat near future, it's Frontline Assembly, then some Psyclon 9, then back to doing Frontline Assembly again for August in Europe. And that's going to be, festivals and more dates with Decrups and
oh man, Decrups is they're so classic. Man, they're just one of those bands that just is consistent.
Yeah, they've been and I've Jürgen, I believe, is I've met him before. He was living, I think he still lives out in Austin, Texas now. Because one time I toured with Frontline Assembly in the past, he came out, because I was with, I was actually with Dismantled. This was maybe 2010 or something like that. And we were out with Frontline Assembly and replacing Decrups, because I think they might have had some visa issues with some of the guys. And so last minute they had to pull from the tour and we stepped in. But I did get to meet Jürgen, and he was a cool dude. And ultimately got to see Decrups play once in Germany when I was on a festival date with them with Dismantled. So that was cool. But it would be great to tour with. So I think that both bands will complement each other really well.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Frontline Assembly is such a great live presence. I've only seen them the one time at Cold Waves LA years ago, and it was at one point they had a couple of drummers going.
Oh, was that the one that I was drumming on?
I think so.
Was it 2017?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually that's right, because I interviewed Clint while I was in town, and went over to his apartment and everything, and he was like, "Oh yeah, John, I know a guy who was drumming," and I was like, I think at the time I didn't realize it was you, so I was like, "Oh, cool," but. Oh man, I'd love System Sin. I'd love to see a System Sin show. But
Yeah. That's definitely a fun band, and Clint's such a great guy. Probably one of the most genuine, nice people I know
yeah, for
in,
sure.
I guess, the music world. And he kind of, with his art and everything else he does, he kind of is in various artistic endeavors. But
Mhm.
anyway, yeah, Clint's a great guy. I'll see him actually tomorrow, which is cool. I haven't seen him this whole time during the pandemic, so it'll be good
Yeah.
to catch up with him. And we're just doing a photo shoot, so it'll be cool to kind of hang out and
Yeah, for
catch
sure.
up a little bit.
Be sure and send him my love and everything. I actually also last week I had all of Alice on. So
Oh, okay, cool.
Scott and Tosh and everybody. That was a blast. Getting everybody into the Discord server for a chat all at once. And I know they've
Nice.
got a tour coming up. The other one I was going to ask you about is that you usually go out on the road with IMX, but I haven't heard anything about IMX tours other than like his Chris is doing like a streaming show, I think, like a modular synth show kind of a thing, I think, but I haven't heard about like any other tour dates. Not, and I'm sure if I'm sure you can't really really say, but
Oh
um,
yeah, there's no big secrets on my end as far as like any tour dates. I mean, I'm
gotcha.
not involved with anything, in the modular world that he's doing or like
Mm,
his acoustic stuff. I know that before the pandemic, he had um, a European and a US tour lined up to
mm,
do his acoustic album, and that was going to be his focus. And so
mm,
at that time, I had a lot of stuff going on with like Gold and Frontline Assembly, and I think Psyclon 9 had some stuff that was going to happen, you know, 2020, 2020 and 2021. So, and
mm.
then I met Dana during the pandemic too. So that was like something that also just came together.
Right.
And it was the only thing that actually happened. Those were the only shows I've done. I did
Yeah.
do a couple of online streaming gigs with Mankind is Obsolete, but I guess bringing it all back. Sorry, where were we?
Oh, it's all good. I mean, we were talking about IMX, I think. Yeah.
IMX. Yeah, he's going out. He had his solo acoustic stuff. Then he's got his modular.
Mm,
He put out an album that's more modular synth stuff, and he's also been focusing on Sneaker Pimps. And there
mm,
was a possibility of Sneaker Pimps doing some live shows. I'm not really sure what's going on with that right now, but as far as IMX going out as a band, like what people are used to probably seeing, there's nothing in the near future that's brewing. I can say that. Like he's got a few modular show dates coming up, like some festival stuff, I think, in Europe.
mm.
I don't know if he's got anything in the US brewing or not. Um, but I touch base with Chris here and there. I mean, he's, as I probably mentioned before, people probably know he's relatively private. I mean, although
Yeah.
he does do his, kind of Patreon
Mm,
thing where there's probably a lot more interaction with people on that. But just in general, like he's fairly private, as are a lot of the musicians I work with and who are out there touring and so forth. So, we all stay in touch, but it's one of those things where it's like, we also, I guess, give each other space and everything like that. So there's
right.
there's sometimes blocks of time where I I haven't talked to Chris or something.
Sure.
Like it's been about a. Well, I mean, I wished him happy birthday, and that was maybe about a week or two ago. So there was
Right.
a brief interaction there, but we haven't had like a full conversation in maybe a couple months. So yeah, I
Mm,
mean, I'll touch base with him probably soon, and we'll figure out what's maybe down the line.
right.
Hopefully as early as fall or something like that, we could be doing some IMX touring. I'm not sure though. That would probably be the earliest.
Right.
as a full band. So in the meantime, I've got my focus with Frontline and
Frontline. Sure.
Psyclon 9 and all that. So
I'm also pretty stoked about for the Frontline Assembly tour. Like, I really want to see Rain. I've looked up some videos of her live performing in Sweden, and I just was like, great energy, great presence. Like, it looks like she's gonna be a super fun performance to watch. I'm pretty stoked about that, as well as seeing Frontline Assembly again. They just always put on like, I mean, the one performance I saw was just phenomenal. I just was like blown away by like the sound, and it was so good. But yeah, I'm
cool. Well,
super excited about
thank you.
that.
If it was the show that you saw that I was playing in, but either way, thank you. And like Frontline, honestly, I'm a huge fan. They're literally one of my, as far as industrial music, legacy bands or not, I mean, I consider them sort of a legacy industrial band.
Mm-hmm.
They have got to be one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Growing up, I just, they're just so unique. There's like a cinematic quality to the music that I really connect with.
Yeah.
And, just listening to their stuff from like the earlier days, like songs like Isolate or Resist. I mean, obviously that's got a vibe to it, but then you get into like Tactical Neural Implant, like that album,
Yeah.
or Implode or Hardwire, like any of those records, they definitely have this kind of, it reminds me of the movie Blade Runner or something like that. It's kind of got a very cinematic intensity to it, a lot of ambient sounds too, and I'm just a really big fan. They definitely I think are always pushing the envelope. And a lot of the new stuff is fantastic too.
I really
I don't know
liked
how much people.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I just get excited.
No problem.
The Airmech and Warmech soundtracks for the video game, like those are great too. Like they're all instrumental, but like, man, I put those on and I just like leave them on while I'm, doing whatever around the house, and like those are great records. And Echo Genetic from 2013, like I was like, yeah, this is a good album, but like the Cold Waves LA, the performance of Killing Grounds off that record, just like I was like, this song is amazing. I have to listen to it 1,000 times because I don't know how to enjoy anything in moderation. So
Hey, I'm the same way. If there's a track that I dig, especially if it's instantaneous, there's certain songs that you hear for the first time and they, it's rare when that happens for me, but like but occasionally you run across a song that's just so good, and then like when that happens, I will listen to it like 15 times each day for the next few days, and it's hard for me to get burned out on it. There's very few songs like that, but there's definitely, occasionally a band writes a song like that where you're like, wow, this is just something else. But that's that period, early or mid, I don't know what year that, you said 2013. Anything that happened in the 2000s, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff with Frontline in that era as well too. I mean, obviously, like myself, like a lot of other people, probably discovered the band back in the 90s or whatever, and so we're used. Anytime you discover a band, you kind of like, especially the stuff that drew you in. But I'll have to say, I mean, they're like the stuff that they have out in the 2000s has been fantastic as well. I mean, like, I was talking to Reese about it, I think on the last tour, or actually even before, when we were coming up with a set list for the Ministry tour dates. He was like, man, I love a lot of the stuff that I'm not a part of. He was, like we were, busting out like Angriff and like a couple of these other tracks. I mean, that are just, I mean, that is just like that song in particular. That's a really fun one on the drums. I mean, the beats just so, I mean, like, that's one thing that's cool about Frontline too, is just those beats are just so hard hitting, they're, it's, the tempos that they choose, it's just right down the middle, like kind of, I don't know, very punchy, and
I was gonna ask, like, are you intimidated by that at all? Like, is there, I mean, you've played with like a ton of great artists. I know you played with like Frontline and Information Society and Dana Dentata and IAMX and all these great bands. I mean, that's just like the tip of the iceberg. But is there one of those in particular that like playing their songs is a little bit more technically challenging for you than others?
Well, the most technically challenging band I ever played with, I mean, they only put out one record. It's quite good, but I was jumping in last minute, filling in on the drums, and I remember I was going to my job, waiting tables at a restaurant when I get a call about it, and I'm like, jumping on YouTube or Spotify or something like that on my phone to like listen to a track as I'm driving my car to work. It was a band called White Empress, and it's Paul from Cradle of Filth. It was his project, and forget where Mary came from. What band? She had like kind of a power metal band beforehand, and then fella who he played with Cold Chamber was in the band, and then my buddy Jeremy, who's known for being in London After Midnight, and he's been in a couple of other bands. So it was a really interesting lineup of people. The music was extremely challenging, and I basically had to learn it within a few days. I had to get the set together, and that was the most difficult drum music. It was frightening to do the shows. Let's just put it this way, because I was in over my head. I was like, I'm
right.
often quite the yes man when it comes to doing gigs, as long as I can make it work. And sometimes jump in a situation where it's a sink or swim kind of deal, where you're
Right.
like, all right, you gotta rise to the occasion, or you're gonna look like a fool on stage or something.
Right.
So I did the best I could on that gig, but it was, I was hanging in there. Hopefully nobody noticed it like that, but that was my idea.
I'll let you know if somebody like comments on the podcast after it goes up and they're like, "Oh yeah, I saw White Empress. The drummer fucking sucked." Like I'll be sure and pass it on to you and let you know some rando person on the internet's like, "Oh yeah, the drummer was shit for that band."
I mean, it's bound to happen, and you get into certain genres, and like the bar is a little higher. Especially, like metal and technical metal like that. I mean, that was, here I am coming from like more industrial and goth type bands, and I'm going out there now playing like a technical metal type show, and I'm used to 4-piece drum kits and stuff like that. I mean, it was, I mean, I was in over my head, but I made it work. I mean, we did the shows, and nothing was a total train wreck. And I say that slightly because the first song of the first show, I remember the bass drum pedal just completely flying off the bass drum or something like that. Like the bass drum was moving. I mean, I had to borrow gear to do it, so it was something bass drum I wasn't used to playing, and I literally had to stop the song like 30 seconds in, because there was no way I was going to be able to all of a sudden do like 200 BPM blast beats or whatever, and in the middle of it, of this like 6-minute song or something like that, I was like, I was like, it'll be better to stop and start over and me fix this thing than trying to wing it.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was a bit embarrassing, but I mean, sometimes that sort of thing will happen, but hopefully it's not often.
Yeah, exactly. Don't make it a habit of. I mean, I at least it's a band that's like smaller, and like you weren't like getting up there with Dana Dentata and like fucking stuff up or anything. So
yeah, I mean, luckily with Dana, as far as I remember, there was no issue with any of the shows. I think we had a pretty smooth set the whole time.
So
each kid.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
I just was going to ask.
Yeah,
So since getting back from all the tours and everything, you've had a little bit of time off, yeah?
yeah. I haven't done anything since she and I went out, and I was supposed to, yeah, do the frontline thing with Ministry and Helmet pretty much immediately after it, but that's when we found out that it wasn't going to happen again,
Right.
and that we are not part of, I guess, the tour that's happening in March, I believe. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
Ministry will be
it's
out with Melvins and Corrosion of Conformity.
right. Very different from the original lineup. Uh, but I mean, that's okay.
Yeah, it
Uh,
definitely had some internet controversy, and yeah, I mean, it's just a bummer. I mean, I to be honest, I never weigh in on any of this stuff because I don't know all of the finer details, but
right.
it definitely seemed like there could have been some lack of communication going on at some, in some areas.
Sure.
And just as a person who's, I'm a fan of all the bands. I mean, hell, I'm a fan of like Corrosion to Conformity as well. I mean, Melvins are all right, but I mean, like, I love COC anyway, and I like Helmet, and I like KMFDM, and obviously Ministry,
Right.
um but yeah, just it's such a bummer. I mean, that would have been like a childhood dream to be able to do a tour like that. I mean, like, I'd be playing with all these groups that I grew up listening to. I mean,
Right.
so it's, as a fan, that would have been a fantastic tour to be on.
Right.
So I'm definitely just sort of about that. I understand the music business is what it is. So there's, sometimes you may never get the answer that you're looking for as to why something didn't work out. So,
Right.
yeah, but
And
needless to say,
yeah, I try not to like weigh in on anything either. I mean, like I'm always super stoked when artists like come on the show and I can chat with people whose music I really love or appreciate or whatever. But like the drama, I try to stay out of it as much as I can. But the problem is that I kind of like talk shit, and that's like talking shit is like one of my favorite things to do. So so now that I have a podcast, I'm like, yeah, I gotta try and keep that to a minimum. Like, try and keep it under control, under wraps, say as little as possible. Because I mean, like, it doesn't take much. It's like a scratch on the surface to be able to sort of, especially now, like with the rise of like social media and the pandemic and everybody being so like closely interconnected. Like, I get to sit and watch like tons of drama play out of like, so and so said this about so and so. Did you see that? Oh my god. And it's just it's just like all day like this industrial drama for all these people that are socially awkward. It's it's pretty
yeah,
sweet.
yeah, you'll see that a lot if you jump on media, and again, like, there's a number of reasons why I don't weigh in. I mean,
Mm,
the primary reason being, like, if I don't have enough information, I'm not going to just go on
right.
what one person says, or what a news headline
Sure.
says. I understand that there's a lot more nuance than someone just making a blunt statement. So I sit back and I absorb what's going on if it's of interest, and yeah, I mean, but also, just the mere fact that, hey, I'm a drummer. I drum with a number of different bands.
Right.
Uh, Industrial or not, the music scene tends to be a bit small. So the last thing you really want to do is create enemies with people. So
Right.
I find it to pick your battles, and
Right.
and also, if there is actually a battle at any point, and for whatever reason, to keep it amongst the people that are involved,
Right.
and try to have a little bit of class, and not into a giant, I don't know, Jerry Springer fight or something. I don't know how else to put it, like, on
That's
the
what the
internet,
industrial
but
scene needs, John. Don't you know? We need like
I know people love drama, like, they love it, and there's plenty of people that will I guess stoke the flame or whatever
right.
of drama, and I like to be I don't like to be in the middle of that, especially because there's nothing worse than feeling like you're wrongfully being judged or accused of something.
Right.
Like going, "Oh, Jon said this." Or, I don't want to. I'd rather just avoid that kind of thing and keep focusing on what really matters to me, which is, being the best drummer that I can be, and
Right.
making the bands that I work for happy with what it is that I can bring to the table. And then also making, the people that enjoy the music, making them feel like they had a good experience. So
Right.
I really try to keep my focus on that, and all that other stuff. It's sort of just a toxic way to live,
Right.
I find.
Well, I mean,
So,
you are a pretty classy, friendly guy, so I mean, it seems like that would be pretty easy for you. Um, I would
I mean,
assume.
people can push your buttons. I mean, that's,
Sure.
I've definitely had it. I've had people, talk shit or whatever. So I mean, I've certainly had to deal with, you know, but generally speaking, I've had a good experience with fans and whatnot.
Right.
But sometimes people just have a general argument towards something. I mean, the mere fact that I'm a drummer in the industrial scene, you get like certain purist people that don't really like a drummer
Right.
of it, so like I've seen the comments where people be like, oh, I don't, why do they bring a drummer in? It's like, that's not the sound or whatever. So
Wow.
I mean, like, what can you do?
I can't say I've seen that too much, but like that's pretty ridiculous. Like that it's weird
It's rare,
how
but it happens.
I mean, yeah, I mean it kind of happens in any smaller music scene. I guess it probably happens in any music scene more generally. It's just that like weird gatekeeping on things like that don't matter. I don't know, it just blows my mind sometimes.
Yeah. So I mean, like, that kind of thing is, there's nothing I could do, or the band, and I'm the new guy coming in as a drummer, or I'm jumping in on a tour. There's constantly, there will be those people that, I mean, there'll be a lot of compliments and maybe good things like, oh, I like Jon. That's cool. I really want to see him with this band. But then some people would be like, oh, we miss so and so.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like,
Oh,
you know,
Galen was so much better.
yeah, or whatever, and it's just, you gotta, I mean, honestly though, if you're doing any sort of entertainment, then you just have to have a thick skin on some level. I mean, like, we're all humans, artists are sensitive types, so I mean, I'm sure this will get under a lot of people's skin on some level. But that being said, you know, once you've seen it happen, and you realize how silly it all is, you just
Yeah.
get back to what's really important, which is, the music, and
Mhm.
connecting, and the rest is just kind of silly, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, no, for sure it is. I mean, I don't know. That's the thing that kind of blows my mind about it is that it's like, I don't know. Everybody's just kind of out there like trying to do their best, and I don't know. I don't. I'm not a proponent of like negativity or shitting on people unnecessarily. But if they deserve it, sure. And I know plenty that do. But I, it's not. It's also. I'm also not going to spend my energy and go out of my way to be the one that like, you know, tries to start a fight with somebody to correct their dumb thought process.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
well, so are you? I know you're still just kind of warming up for these tours. And I know the last time you were on the show, I kind of asked about like if you were going to get involved in sort of making your own music all that much anymore. And it seemed a little uncertain at that time. Is it something that you've revisited since coming back to the States from the Dana Dentata run?
Yeah, to be honest, that's something that I'm doing sort of on the side. I mean, right now I've been doing so much with the drumming, and also just general self-improvement with drumming, that's taken such a huge chunk of my daily energy. But what's left over, I've been getting back into uh songwriting. I mean, I actually haven't written a song yet or anything, but I'm sort of getting my workstation together, my upgraded new kind of thing. Because I mean, since I haven't done this in a minute, I needed some newer gear, and I need to understand some of the new software and just sort of reacquaint myself with the whole thing. So,
Right.
on a technical level, I'm gearing up to spend some of my additional time aside from like the drumming to get back into songwriting, and so I'm
Sure.
sort of taking some baby steps
Right.
back into it. I'm not going full force because my focus is for the last few years has been like solely on the drums. I've really kept it narrow so that I could give it my all. So but I mean, most of us have a little bit of extra time for hobbies, so I'm approaching it on a hobby type of level with the idea that it could turn into something, I guess, more substantial down the line, but we shall see.
Okay. All right. I won't go asking for like, influences and stuff. Well, what's the album gonna be like? What's it gonna be called?
Oh yeah, I'm nowhere near that. I mean, I do have some ideas as far as vibe that I'm trying to capture, style and sound, at least to start off with. Like, there's certain things that I would like to try to accomplish, but I don't have throw it in a box at the moment or anything like that.
Right.
So.
Scared. I'm not you, you're you. I'm not what you did. I'm not what you do. I just call it out for the world to see. Own up to your shit. Don't project on me anymore. You need to look in the mirror. You need to face what you fear. You need to look in the mirror. You need to know why I'm here. I need an apology today from every motherfucker that tried to get in my way. I'm not the enemy. I'm the fucking shit. I ran into the mirror and I came out that bitch. But you need to look in the mirror. You need to face what you fear. You need to look in the mirror. You need to face what you fear. You need to look in the mirror. You need to face what you fear. You need to look in the mirror. You need to know why I'm here. I'm sick of being silent. It's not my fault that the truth is in the violence. I am not the enemy. I am not your bruise. I face my fucking self. Baby, you should try it too. You need to look in the mirror. You need to face what you fear. You need to look in the mirror. You need to face what you fear. You need to look in the mirror. You need to face what you fear. You need to look in the mirror. You need to know. Sorry.
Sure. We're coming up on about 40 minutes, and I want to be sensitive to your time because you're a busy man. But, just what's something that you've been enjoying lately? You've had a little bit of time off. What's the last thing that comes to mind that just like really, made you excited? Like you were just really stoked about it? Like, can be a movie, TV show, book, album, whatever. Just like what's something recently that just left a positive impression on you?
Good question.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, what is left? Big question. That's a really tough question for me. I've, as I was just mentioning a moment ago, I mean, like the drums have taken up so much at this
Right.
point, that my whole day is focused around that. Plus, I do some work, I'm training people, doing physical training, but I'm also doing, drum lessons too. So I teach enough to kind of keep a roof over my head and feed myself. Like I'm actually not being ambitious with the work, so that I do have all this time to focus on the drumming and improving in certain areas. So I've been so laser focused on that that I haven't done. There's not a lot of balance in my life. Let's put it that way.
Gotcha.
And so whatever remaining time I've had, I've read a few books. I've always been interested in nutrition and health and things like that. So, I mean, I do read certain books from doctors or scientists and whatnot. I mean, I prefer that sort of reading. So there's been a few books that I've read. I've watched, if I love mindless television, I guess, if I'm really trying to unwind.
Right.
Sometimes a book can be too much focus if I've already drained myself, where I really need to just, and in that case, I have been enjoying old films, like old Hammer horror films or Dario Argento films. A lot of the stuff you can find on YouTube. So people out there, if you want, if you like,
Yeah.
Dario Argento, I've seen a lot of his stuff just on YouTube. It's, anyway, so I tend to like old films and things like that. So that's, the vibe and everything of a different time period. You kind of get immersed in that environment. So that's been cool. And just seeing or talking to to the friend on occasion. So yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason why I haven't been active on social media, because honestly, I'm just in a growing phase, and I don't. Part of me doesn't even want to take the time to sort of document moments of it, because that becomes a whole thing. And I did that in the beginning of the pandemic. I was making little drum videos, not super professional, but even still, that took up a big chunk of time to just do those videos. And I was like, well, I really want to just get right to the core of what matters, which is improving on certain things that I've found in my playing that could use some work that I never had the time to do when I was constantly learning songs and recording and practicing for tours. Because once you get on that train, it's, you get good at maybe like what it is that you have to do. But to grow as a player and everything, you kind of have to put in the work and do this, kind of tedious, these drills constantly. So that was very long-winded, but to answer your question, there's not much in the way of inspiring new songs, music, bands, artists, or anything like that I've focused on, just because of where I'm at with trying to grow as a drummer.
No problem. It's fine. There are no wrong answers. I mean, like, I had a buddy of mine on the show. He co-hosted with me because I was really nervous, and he was a big fan of Ashbury Heights, and we had Ashbury Heights on the show. And, towards the end of the show, I always ask, like, what are you enjoying? And he's like talking about these Costco fudgesicles that he just loves them, and he could just eat a whole box of them. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like,
it's a simple things, it's
right.
just,
yeah, no,
sometimes it's just, just really simple things. Like that just makes me think of, like, I live right next to a park, and it's really cool in LA that they actually have this park where they have fruit trees. So right now the oranges are in season, so I walk to the park every morning and I grab a couple of oranges. I mean, I could be an asshole and just grab like a bag full or something. But I
Right.
mean, I'm trying to make it so that other people can obviously enjoy it. But to be honest, they've had these trees out for years, and hardly anyone picks the oranges. I feel like I'm the only guy that eats the
Right.
oranges. So I just, but that's part of my ritual every day. I go grab these oranges from the park
Right.
next to where I live. So that's kind of cool.
That sounds awesome. I mean, I've heard people who don't get the concept of such a thing, right? They'll be like, well, I mean, we can't have, whatever tree that produces food. We can't have this in the park because people will just come up and take it. And it's like, yeah, that's the fucking point. If
Yeah.
somebody stops and like takes an apple off this tree because they need it because they're hungry, cool, great. It's just gonna fall on the ground and rot. Otherwise, like, what it seems so alien to me that there are people out there, and I'm sad that there are, that like can't wrap their heads around a concept like that of like, well, yeah, these oranges grow for whoever needs them. Like, people who are the kind of people who are like, I don't want a community garden in my community. Like that people won't work. Like what? Like what? Like what?
Yeah, I don't understand
It
that.
starts with a community garden, and then we've got communism. Like, it's like these crazy people. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, I guess, one outlook on it.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah, I mean, I think it's wonderful. Yeah, like that.
I think it's
Anyone
rad.
can go grab one. I mean, hopefully, people that, hopefully, there's some people too that maybe, can't afford fresh fruit. We'll go out and pick a couple of oranges, rather
Yeah.
than grab some bag of chips or something that's like cheaper and not as
Right.
healthy. So,
Or go to Trader Joe's and pay like $5 for one orange. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, it's just, yeah, I mean, like, that would be great if we planted just more fruit trees around in general, especially in a place like California where it's, I mean, how fantastic would that be? It's just,
I know you're talking about something that would just basically a crop that would just take care of itself at that point. Like,
yeah. I mean, we plant all sorts of other trees. Just, why not? I mean, oranges and lemons and everything, they grow really well out here. I mean, even avocados and persimmons and pomegranates. I mean, yeah, all that stuff grows out here really well. So,
yeah.
I'm a big fan of the fruit trees. Yay!
Me too. That's a good answer. I know Galen Whaling. He's a great guy, but he grows plants and tends to them and bakes and stuff, and like, yeah, I'm just like, that's something that I've like never had myself. I've never had the skill to like grow a plant and make sure it stays alive. So so it's like the idea of like having like something that you can just like grow and tend and take care of sounds great. Like, I don't know. I agree. Like, it's just like, it's something that should just be everywhere. I have seen where a lot of people are going online and ordering, you can order like, these little packets of seeds that are just like, rando flowers and stuff that are like local to your area. So then you just like, while you're out on a walk or a bike ride or whatever, you just kind of sprinkle them around and, you're sort of beautifying the area with stuff that should be there anyway.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's a great idea, but I'm sort of
we're hippies at heart.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Yeah, it's all peace and love, and let's get along and grow fruit together. And
yeah, I mean, what's really funny? It made me think really quick about like a couple of tours I was on. One with Dana when we were out in England last I think August. It was. There was blackberries everywhere. And then once I discovered what these blackberry bushes and vines or whatever looked like, I just noticed them everywhere we went, including on the festival grounds. Like like I was literally just hanging out. I ate so many blackberries when we were in England. It was hilarious. I mean, I'm sure that they thought I was like insane because I'm just, I remember we all went on like a nature hike. I think the first day we got there because it was a really cool park near the Airbnb we were in.
Yeah.
And that just saw blackberries everywhere, and I was just like, dude, these are great. Same thing on a God module tour. I remember being like, or I think it was God module or something, or I was up in Seattle, or no, because God module's from Seattle. Maybe I was out with Psyclon 9 at the time, but I remember like there was there was blackberries everywhere in the neighborhood, and I just was eating them the whole time.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm all about the foraging. It's great.
Yeah, there was
that's my nerdy thing that I'm into.
You're like, oh yeah, I'm ready for this tour. I've been collecting nuts and berries all summer, and now I'm ready.
Hang out with me. We'll find some berries together. It'll be great.
I've got I've got my little squirrel stash set aside. I've got some extra nuts in my cheeks just in case. Like, you're ready. Well, it's funny. Like, there was a guy, I took a class here in Reno like forever ago that was wine and food pairing, and the guy was talking about how like the University of Nevada has done a ton of research on growing grapes in the desert. I mean, they spent millions and millions of dollars trying to figure this out. But like somehow, some way, he was just driving along one day on his way to work and was like, "Oh my God, there's grapes growing on the side of the road." So he just like pulls off. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's not on anybody's property, just grapes. And he's like examining them and everything. And he's like a professional sommelier, and was like, "These are Merlot grapes." So he like took a bunch of them and was like made some wine out of them, and he went back like a little while later to get some more. And like there's a little old lady out there, and she's like picking these Merlot grapes, and she's like, "Oh, I make grape jelly out of them." And I was like, "Oh fuck, that sounds awesome!" Like what a concept of just like, here, people can just have this thing. Like
it's beautiful.
It is, yeah.
And and it's such healthy food, and it's just free. It's just part of, I mean, I don't know what it is, but there's something I'll get all woo about it, but yeah, you're just connecting with nature again, and it's,
right.
It's, there's something, climbing a tree and picking an apple. I mean, that's just a beautiful experience, I mean, maybe with, the world that we live in with all this technology, it's nice to kind of get back to the roots here and there,
Right.
I mean, I think that's why people maybe sometimes live remotely or have a vacation cabin out in the
Right.
woods or something like that, just because, I think that part of our human nature is to, connect with it a bit more than what we're able to do in
Right.
sort of the modern world.
Absolutely. I agree. Well, it's good that you enjoy, I mean, the roundabout answer is that you enjoy fruit and fruit trees and stuff. So that's a good answer.
Absolutely.
It's better than Costco fudgesicles. Not to shame my friend Matt. But,
yeah, that's a bit too processed for me. I don't think I would ever, I'm not there in my journey anymore.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can get behind some buying bad stuff in bulk, but for the most part, I do try and make conscientious decisions. Man, local honey, like I'll have to send you some, but like the local honey that you can get here in Reno, like there's so much sage all around in the desert and everything, that it just gives this wonderful flavor to the honey here that you can get. I'll have to drop some in the mail to you because it's pretty phenomenal.
I don't actually eat honey because I've been vegan for a long time, but yeah.
Okay, well, I'll just.
But I appreciate.
I'll just fuck off then. I'll just take my honey.
That's all good. Yeah. It's but no, I could imagine, all the different types of honey that's out there, just based on, I guess, the pollen that the bees are drawing from.
Because you wrote like a little vegan cookbook kind of a thing.
Yeah, I wrote a book on how to tour as a vegan. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And doing it about 28 years now, and yeah.
That's right.
I
Yeah,
guess
because in our other interview, you had such a wholesome story of like why you became a vegan in the first place. I won't make you retell it now, but
yeah, no, it's all good.
it was it was such a good story. Like I think it spoke your reasoning. I think it speaks to your character a lot, and I mean that's kind of one of the reasons that I was like, man, I want to have Jon Siren on the show again. That guy's great. Because of your love of, picking, picking food from an orange tree, and like your sort of sense of, I don't know, you're a good person in there, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm trying to
sure.
do the best I can.
That's all any of us are trying to do, and so far so good, I guess. Well, I don't know. The world's kind of fucked, but so I guess I guess we're not doing enough. But
I mean, we all have some flaws here and there, and
Sure.
yeah, I just
I mean, I don't know. My philosophy on it is just like you have to do what's within the realm of your control. Like
yeah, no,
maybe
that's a good way of.
maybe that's just not shopping at a store who treats their employees like shit or something. So,
Yeah.
yeah, my t-shirts, that's what I'm enjoying right now, just to answer the question as well. Started selling the printer, the t-shirt printer that I ended up using for my shirts was somebody that they knew somebody that I used to work with, and they run this company called 1585 Printing, and they just donate 15% of their profits to whatever the local community or whatever charity might be in need. And I was like, well, this is the company that I want to that I want printing my shirts and that I want to give my business to, because it's a small independently owned company, and I have to admire goals like that, of trying to help people beyond just yourself. So that's what I've been.
No, it feels good. It feels good to do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure it does.
Absolutely.
But
yeah.
So that's what I've been enjoying, aside from working a lot on the podcast and everything. But well, it's we're coming up on an hour, and again, I want to be sensitive to your time. So again, thank you so much for your time and for coming on the show.
Thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, of course. And anytime you ever have anything coming out that you need to, promote or spread the word about, or if you get bored and you want to have a chat about whatever, you always want to and just
If you want more Void Signal content, then please visit voidsignal.net. Here you'll find additional information about the show, including merchandise that you can buy to support the show, because my boy Brian here, he has got to pay the rent. voidsignal.net.